Hi guys, and welcome to another very windy vlog from the Cornish coastline. It's my third location shooting since I've been down here. I came down last night in the van. If you haven't seen the vlogs already, the first night I came down I went to Porthcothan, and this morning I went to Boscastle. Now this is going to be my last vlog while I'm down in Cornwall. I'm at this location and I'm probably going to go and stop and look at a cove that I passed on the way up here as well, which looks quite cool. I should be able to get some dramatic shots down there. Now I've come to Bedruthan Steps. It's a really cool composition from the cliff here. You get to see these really awesome sea stacks. Sometimes you can catch them with a bit of the beach. We're around about high tide now and it's very stormy weather, so we can't really capture any of that down there. It does lend itself really to a sunset / sunrise location with some nice skies. Unfortunately, with the storm coming through, Storm Gareth I believe, we don't really have the weather for it. So one thing we do have though is we have really dramatic stormy kind of sea coming in. So we've got big waves, and that's creating a lot of drama and texture in the water, and those waves are hitting against these stacks and giving some quite cool effects as it does it, some nice textures. It's so windy that I can't vlog anywhere near the coast. You can barely stand up over there, to be honest. So I'm sheltered behind this wall. It's still pretty gusty, but it's just about doable for vlogging. The only way I've managed to get any shots at all, as you can probably see, is by ramming my tripod right up against the fence there. And what I've had to do is I've had to extend those tripod legs in a way that it puts lots of pressure onto that fence. Now when I'm shooting, I'm actually having to stand on the bottom of those legs as well, so the tripod is really forced up against that, and I'm having to undo my coat and shelter it as much as I can, that camera, from the wind. That's the only way I can get any type of image here today. Anyone that involves a low shutter speed, that is. It's working okay. I've managed to do some 1, some 2 and some 4-minute exposures, and they're coming out not too bad actually. So I'm shooting with the 16 to 35 mm lens on there. I'm trying to shoot quite wide so I don't have to worry so much about camera shake. And like I said, I'm doing anything from around about half a minute to about 4-minute exposure, shooting on bulb mode, shooting around about the, I think I had 3 filters on there. So I had a hard grad, a soft grad, a 0.9 hard grad, and 0.9 soft grad. I also had a 10 stop Lee filter, or a big stopper, on there, and shooting at an ISO of 50 and an f-stop of f14. That was giving me that 4-minute exposure time, which was allowing me to get that image. The wind's picking up a bit now. It's probably going to be hard for me to continue vlogging. That's pretty much it to say about the location, really. Got these really cool sea stacks down here, as you can see. Really cool coastline. Yeah, really cool place to visit. It's just a shame the weather is so horrendously bad. I quite like the images I have got on the back of the camera. They're quite dramatic, quite moody, and they do look a tiny bit fine arty with them being really long exposures. Now today, shooting in weather like this and shooting with skies like this, it's kind of a bit like a blank canvas for photography. You've got these really cool overcast skies, Now normally that isn't that great, and locations like this you always hope for those clear skies so you get awesome sunrises and awesome sunsets just with a bit of cloud coming through. Stuff like this, it is kind of a bit of a downer, but you can use images like this really well in post-production. When you have an overcast sky, it gives you a really well balanced scene. You get a lot of good soft light on the subjects and what you're shooting. It doesn't give you any over dramatic vibrancy with the colours, and it just gives you quite a bland, blank image that you can take into Photoshop or Lightroom, and you can kind of adjust it a lot how you want it to come out. So I'm going to have got a lot of fun adjusting this image and editing it. It's quite a nice one to work with. So I should get a good image overall, considering that the weather's bad and the skies are a bit kind of plain and overcast really. We do have the dramatic water, so that's going to come out quite cool, and it's looking quite cool in those long exposures like I was saying earlier. That's about all I can say from the scene really. I'm going to try and get a few other shots down here, a few other little compositions set up, but I'm not going to be able to use a tripod any other location apart from there. It's just too windy to get anything else. I'm going to have a little wander now, see what else I can get. I'll catch up with you after you've seen these images, which will be down at the next location by that cove that I've got to drive past on the way back anyway. Hopefully the tide's out enough for us to get some cool images down there. Hope you enjoy these ones. I'll catch up with you in a few minutes at the next location.
I would be up waiting for you if you had to leave. I would wait a lifetime if you were at sea. I just wanna say that I feel that our love is real. Maybe we should hurry up and seal the deal. I just wanna love you right. Love you till the end of time. I just wanna hold you for forever. Every day you're making me better. 'Cause a love like this is rare, and I wanna take you there. I would give it all away to do it all again. Make our love a story.
Down on the beach now, and actually I really like what I found down here. I can't remember the name of the beach, it did say on the sign. I'll write it up, it's Porth something. Doesn't really help much in Cornwall, but really like the scene I've got down here. Now it's very windy still, and I have been pretty much windswept all day, so I'm looking forward to a break from the wind. But it's really cool scene because you've got these really awesome kind of patterns in the kind of sand here, just where the water's kind of sat, and the high winds I think have blown the sand around a bit just to create some of these cool patterns. There's some cool looking rock patterns further back as well, where the stones from the beach further back there have kind of remained, but the wind from the storm has blown a lot of the sand away from them, so they're quite exposed. It's making some really cool patterns, but I can't really get them to work with the overall landscape, and I don't want to go taking any isolated images just of the stones and the patterns. It's not really what this type of landscape photography is about for me, although this is kind of a lot of seascape I've been doing as well. This scene is quite simple really. I'm using the textures and the dips and the patterns in these bits in the water here, the little puddles and the pools in the sand, pretty much is my main interest. So I'm going to have a lot of foreground interest in this. I did have the wide angle lens on there, but I took it off because it wasn't zooming in enough to get those textures in the foreground. If I go too low to the ground with the wide angle, one, I risk getting sand and water on the lens. Secondly, I'm not getting the kind of view down into that foreground that I want. It's too low down and you do lose a lot of the interest from it. And all I'm shooting, I've got two filters on. I've got the hard grad just pulled down slightly to take out the lightness in the sky, just to give it a bit more mood. And I've also got a soft grad pulled down just to make it ever so slightly darker in the top of the frame there. I'm shooting with most of the image as foreground, just with a tiny bit of that sky and the sea in the background, just taking up about 20% of the frame at the top of the image. Most of the image is just all pretty much foreground. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a portrait panoramic stitch, sweeping from left to right, just pretty much from the middle of the beach here, just around to this headland. So I'm not going to be including the whole headland here. I think that is a bit too much of a holiday snapshot. I'm just going to be including the headland to the right. It's the more interesting part. It's a bit more rugged, a bit more rocky. But the images are so nice, you could probably just get away with using them as a single frame. So I might do that with a few of them as well. And the reason I'm doing a portrait panoramic stitch rather than doing a landscape is I can just get the foreground to come out better in portrait shots. It's just the way that you have more of an angle when you tilt the camera, simply because you are having a bigger kind of frame. If you're doing a portrait from the top to the bottom, you can tilt that more whilst keeping your subject, your foreground and your midground, background in the frame, whilst emphasizing different bits more. You can manipulate the image better. So I'm using the portrait to do that, but I want a landscape style shot. So I'm going to do the portrait like that and sweep around with this panoramic stitch just to make it wide enough to work as a portrait. Now the image is all kind of set up. I'm shooting on aperture priority, so I don't have to worry too much about working it out. I'm shooting at an ISO of 50 and an f-stop of f16, just to make sure the whole image is sharp. That's giving me a 1/15 of a second exposure. It is slightly windy today, so I'm just going to put that ISO up to 200 actually. That's giving me a 30th of a second on the tripod. That should be fine, I shouldn't have to worry. I'm going to take the first image now. I've got it on a 2-second timer, and all I'm going to do is, now that image is taken, I'm literally just going to release the camera, sway it around ever so slightly, and just take the next shot. So it's all about taking slight movements, or doing slight movements between the sweeps. The more pictures you can get in your panoramic stitch, the better it will come out. So I'm going to be doing probably about 5 images in this one, and I'm only doing probably a 30-degree sweep, so I'm not doing too overly top with the panoramic stitch. Like I say, it's just enough to make it more of a portrait shot, or sorry, a landscape shot. Got about another 2 images to do, and that will finish off the stitch. So really liking how this has come out. And what I'm going to do for the next half an hour or an hour or so I'm going to be here, I'm just going to walk around the beach, try and get a few more patterns, a few more different compositions, get a few more shots on the camera, and I'll probably call it quits for Cornwall now. I'll make my way back to Devon, whack up these images that I get from this stitch and all the other ones from the beach down here. Hope you like the ones from Bedruthan Steps earlier. It's a shame the weather was a bit bad, but it's definitely a location I want to get back to in the summer when the weather's a bit better, to try and do some sunset, sunrise shots there. Hope you've enjoyed today's vlog. It's been a bit windy, a bit hard to vlog, to be honest. Bit similar story to what happened in the blog that went out last week, which was at Boscastle, but I've been trying to shoot through the bad weather, trying to get a few interesting images while I'm down here. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, drop any comments in the box, and if you've enjoyed watching it and you want to see future ones coming up, please consider subscribing. I apologise for the video today. It has been a bit shaky. It's been too windy to use the gimbal, so everything's been handheld today with my shaky hand. So anyway, I'll catch up with you on the next one in the future.
Know me, take the time to dig deep underneath this red heat. We could really meet. Layers, it's time to lose these naysayers. We're better off, the air will be richer, and everything's so much easier.